All right, so it is 5 o'clock on June 18th. Notice was given that on June 18th, the Board of Directors of the Hood Central Appraisal District will meet in regular open session at now 5 o'clock at 1902 West Pearl Street. At the moment, we are missing James Wall. We'll update if he gets here late. We do have a quorum, though. Do either of y'all want to talk in open comments? Y'all good? Y'all are good? All right. So then we will move on to our action items. We'll rock and roll through this thing. Wait, door.
There he is.
There's James. Good timing. James has arrived. All right.
We've made any decisions.
We just got started, so you're right on time. We are going into the consent agenda items. That will consist of minutes, financial statement, and approval of a quotation software that the appraisers use. Anything anybody wants to pull out?
And that Esri quote is a reoccurring. It's something we pay every year. Mapping.
It's something they got to have. So they're not going out and doing this by hand.
You know, literally, according to the state comptroller's office and the tax code, we have to have a mapping system.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you can't do your job without it.
There was some West Texas counties sidebar. There was some West Texas counties that got hit up by the state comptroller's office because they were relying on Google Maps.
Oh
And
gosh.
it's like, no, you have to have a mapping system. And so you're right. We have to have it.
Has to have this. So, all right. Are there any motions?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
I got Mark with a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Unanimous. All right, then going into general items under our yellow tab. Discuss taking action to approve a quote from Atomic Plumbing to reroute the hot water line in the bathrooms.
It's Thursday today. I guess it was late last week. We
Just in time.
yeah, we heard some water noise, like a water running in the ladies' bathrooms. And so we called out a plumber, and the plumbers came out and said that we have a slab leak.
Okay.
There's the hot water line under the slab was leaking, and so we wound up shutting off the hot water to that particular faucet. And then they also looked and said, your hot water heater, I don't know if it's the original one in this building. It is.
Oh,
I'm sorry, it is not. It's from 07.
07. Okay.
still.
They were saying that the hot water heater looks like it's about to explode.
Yeah.
And so they shut off all the water to the hot water heater. So
You're at 19 years. It's got its.
yeah. So essentially what we're asking here is we got a quote from them. They came back a quote to say we can replace the hot water heater, and we can also reroute the hot water line up through the attic, not drill into the slab. For they said $6,295. Now their quote did kind of say that's provided we don't run into anything that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So we're saying basically that we ask the board to authorize us to spend an amount not to exceed $7,555. That's essentially a 20% over the quoted price, just to give us some flexibility in case they do run into issues as they're repairing this water issue.
Okay.
So it's at least we're not having to talk about tearing up the foundation and going down under the slab to fix this. They think they can fix it by just going up to the
Cut
wall.
one off and
Yeah.
go up and over.
Exactly.
Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
Any thoughts?
I'll make a motion to go ahead and take action to approve the quote from Atomic Plumbing to reroute the hot feed water line to the restrooms and replace the hot water heater
In an amount not to exceed $7,555.
in an amount not to exceed the amount of $7,555.
Excellent.
I'll second that.
Got a second? Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Have a unanimous vote there. All right, so next item on the agenda is to discuss and giving the chief appraiser the ability to sign collections contracts between the taxing entities.
Yeah, at our last meeting, we had a brief discussion about contracts that we had sent out that we wanted the taxing entities to update. But whenever I brought this to you guys, the action item was to authorize us to send this contract to the entities. I didn't put anything in there to authorize me to sign the contract. So I'm coming back now and saying, do you all want me to sign these contracts as they come back in, or do you want me to bring these contracts back to the board and say, here they are, and have the board take action then to either sign them or then authorize me to sign? So it's kind of an either or thing. We've gotten back Lipan's, City of Granbury. I've gotten an email from Toller ISD saying that it's on their agenda. Granbury ISD put it on their agenda, but they had two changes that they were asking that we can make. They were very immaterial in their changes, so I would have no problem. And I already talked to Marcus about that. One of the changes, it's one says that we will provide them with an audit report, and they wanted us to say we would provide them with a complete audit report. And I have no problem giving them a complete one as opposed to
all we do is complete audit reports.
Yeah, I mean, I had no plans of giving them just a partial audit report. So those were the two changes that they wanted. So I told Dr. Morawski that, yeah, I have no problem with that. So I imagine she'll take it back to the board and they'll get it. So I haven't heard anything though from the county yet. And I haven't heard anything from the city of Toller and city of Lipan, but we're not really into the 2026 collection season yet. So we've got plenty of time, but this right here is to say, you want me to just go ahead and sign them? Or do you want me to bring them back to the board? We can sign them all at that particular time.
I mean, I would say sign them unless there's dramatic changes.
And right now,
material changes, let's say.
Yeah, and right now I've kind of refused. The city of Granbury did want me to come back and make changes, and I told them no.
Yeah.
What they were wanting us to do was to provide a weekly disbursement of funds.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, I really can't do that because we're required to sometimes issue refunds, and also just doing it that fast. You'd be surprised the number of times we get hot checks.
Yeah.
We get credit card payments that don't go through. And so we kind of need a little bit of a minimum of, we'll do it on a weekly basis if we can, but we've set in the contract at least once every 2 weeks during the heavy times.
Yeah.
And then once a month during the slower times. So I kind of said, no, I can't
those would be the other way around.
Well, no, in the slow times, we really need to wait longer because of these refunds.
Okay.
And the way our Gemini system is right now, I can't just come out and say, okay, I want to do a disbursement for GISD at Hood County, and then I got to wait on the city and the other schools because of refunds. We haven't collected enough money from them to do the refunds. So I either have to be able to disperse them all or not disperse any.
Okay.
With her. So I told the city that no, I can't do that change because it would cause us problems. And if we couldn't meet that weekly disbursement, then we'd be in breach of the contract.
We don't need to have that with anybody.
Exactly. And they were okay with that.
Okay, good.
I did tell them they could collect their own taxes and they could get the money every day. And Mr. Coffin was not in favor at all of collecting property taxes.
He quickly said, no, you're good.
I think if I didn't have a glass table in my office, he might have been kicking her, saying, "Hush." But I had a glass table, and he didn't kick her.
I can believe that. Yeah.
So what's your pleasure here? I'll do it either way.
I mean, what are y'all thoughts?
I agree. We don't need to be involved unless there are material changes.
Kind of my
Yeah,
thoughts.
I agree with that.
If there's no material changes, let's move on down the road and just get it done.
And again, those are the only two requests for changes, and I didn't have a problem with GISD, and I told the city of Granbury, no, I can't do that.
I don't think going from just adding complete and there is a material change.
Like what do we send? Every other page of an audit report?
Right, exactly. We left that one out.
Maybe just the executive summary. I don't
Right,
know.
exactly.
We would give them everything. We would give them everything.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we approve the chief appraiser to sign collections contracts between the Hood Central Appraisal District and the taxing entities unless there are material changes to the contracts, in which case he comes back to the board.
Excellent. Second. Mark's got the second. Motion is that we allow chief appraiser to sign these contracts with the taxing entities unless there's material changes. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is once again unanimous. Ayes have it. All right. So back in March, we need to talk about auto renewal of the contract with Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson. This was brought up back in March so we could look at different options and costs. So, Mr. Jeff?
Okay, again, this was an item that was tabled at our May meeting.
Yep.
I
said March. Should have said
well, actually,
it was brought
says
up in March. Okay.
Richard had brought it up at the March meeting to put it on the agenda, and then we didn't have an April meeting, so it came back up in May. So this item was tabled, so we brought it back to this meeting to go forward with what we want to do. I think Mr. Hayes had said something about that he wanted to maybe talk to Ms. Graff.
And I did.
Okay.
She said that the Lineberger did visit with her as they reported at our last meeting, and that they have made changes to the process, and she's happy.
Okay.
She, however, thinks in good governance, we should probably do an RFQ and see if Lineberger is still the best choice for the county, with no particular complaints or issues. I always like to rebid things after it's been 13 years. My only concern, our primary concern, is that the impact on you. Because have you yet hired an assistant chief appraiser?
We did,
Uh-oh.
and he then backed out. He rescinded his. I made him an offer. He accepted, and he then turned down his offer. Took it back. He decided not to. I put it back out for bid, and I do have another applicant that is actually an internal applicant that I'm going to be interviewing next week to see if he'd be a good fit for that particular job. So I haven't hired another one yet, but that's
my concern is your workload and dumping an additional unit of work on you when you're short a key staff member.
Well, we can, as I said at the last meeting, if it's the pleasure of the board to actually go out for RFQs, this would be something most likely that we're going to turn over the delinquent role to whatever attorney January 1st. And they're going to go to work on collecting the delinquencies for 2025 then. So this is something that we have quite a bit of time, in my opinion, to deal with, because I would recommend that if we were to go out for RFQs, if we were to make a change, that change wouldn't really be effective most likely until July the 1st of 2027.
Okay.
Which they would then be collecting the 2026 delinquent taxes. To make a change like right now, I think it would be very, very disruptive, because they've got. Right now, Linebarger has many lawsuits that have already been filed. They have caseloads that are already set for trial. They have work that's already been performed on properties that may need to go through foreclosure. Taking judgment on certain things. So they have a lot of work in the pipeline. So this would be something that if we were going to make a change, then I think it needs to be something that happens at the next collection cycle, which
I would agree with that.
2026 taxes won't be due until October the 1st.
Right.
And then they won't even become delinquent until February the 1st. And then the attorneys don't get involved in any of the collection process for delinquent taxes until July, when we turn over the delinquent roll to them. So if we were going to shift, so I would think something like this probably could be put off until after the 1st of the year to do the RFQ process.
I have a couple questions on that.
Yeah.
I agree. Normally, it's good practice to put things out for bid. Having said that, my understanding is that, well, a lot of times you do it is it's either competency or it's costs. The costs, on my understanding, are the penalties that are paid by the property owners when it's not paid.
Yeah, the appraisal district nor any of the taxing entities actually bear zero cost in what these attorneys are paid. It's the delinquent property owner that an additional 20% is added to their bill, that they are the ones who pay for the legal fees.
So it's not a cost.
It's not a cost issue
to the organization at all. Mm-hmm. And then the other piece of it is we've got like 98% collection.
Yeah, actually, Susan gave me the report this morning. June of 2025, we were 97.905. As of today, we're 97.657. So by the end of June, we're going to be right around that 97.9, 98, if you want to round up.
So cost isn't an issue since it's borne by the taxpayer.
Yes.
And then the only other question is compensating your experience.
Right.
How's that then?
I've been pleased with Linebarger. I have nothing bad to say about them. I think Richard's conversation with Melanie, I mean, Melanie's only issue that she deals with them is that when they file a lawsuit against a property owner, they're filing it in her office. And then she has to deal with that case, suit, just like she would have to deal with anybody who filed a civil case in her office. And Richard has said that she's happy with that. So she didn't have a complaint. I don't have a complaint.
Constable Jordan is happy.
Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm. And Constable Jordan is the one who handles all of our tag sales.
Okay.
And cost isn't an issue.
No.
So in my mind, it's kind of a useless exercise to put it out if we're happy with the service. There's no cost component to it.
Yeah. And I would
it's
say
more
too,
burden to do the process than it is anything else.
for your benefit, Mark, since you weren't here last meeting, generally speaking, when an appraisal district or a public entity wants to buy something, there is a lot of times you hear it referred to as an RFP, request for proposal. And you go out and say, hey, we want to buy this. We want to buy 100 of those. What kind of price can you give me? What proposal? And then the companies will come back and say, we'll sell them to you for $100 a piece, $1,000 a piece, whatever. But generally, when you get into architectural services, engineering services, appraisal services, legal services, and things of that nature, you don't have to do the request for proposal or a competitive sealed bidding process. But you can do the request for qualifications to say, just send us your qualifications, and then a body like this will sit down and look over and say, here's the qualifications, and you would pick a vendor, and they would do the work. So there's no legal requirement that says we have to go out and do an RFQ. I know that there's been some elected officials in town who've made comments that, like a financial auditor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you should change periodically with a financial auditor. That's not necessarily a bad idea because you're talking about someone who's going through the financial books of an organization. And, some people say, well, maybe it's a good idea to have a fresh look at this. I don't know that that's that much of a valid argument in this particular situation because what you're talking about is legal services. It's like we have a person here that didn't pay their taxes. Now, go and do what's legally necessary to encourage, and both firms, I think, do a great job at that. So then it just kind of becomes, is one doing a poor job in it? Well, we start off 98% collected,
Right.
and we hand over 2% of the roll to say, see if you can collect the rest of this. And I think as at the last meeting, I kind of said, there's a big group of people that are going to pay their taxes on time. There's a group of people here that I kind of say they're the ones that forgot to pay. The February 1st thing slipped up and they forgot to make their bill. There's some people in here that's like, I know about it, but I got to do this extra job to get it. Mm-hmm. Then you have a group of people down here that they're not going to pay. For whatever reason, they don't have the money. They've lost their job. They're in a bad financial place. And they're just simply not going to pay. Where does that 98% fall in my thing? Well, I think it falls well into the group that says I forgot to pay it or I intend to pay it. I'm working something out, but I don't know if that helps or not. But yeah, I think both firms are highly qualified. I mean, they do things all over the state of Texas. To switch for the sake of switching, I'm like you. I don't think I would do that. If we had a problem with one of them or Linebarger, since we've used them, I can say, yeah, let's consider switching. Or if it was a cost, and really the latter two have not been an issue with me since I've been here.
Yeah, this originally started with a request to me from Mayor Jarrett. Who said it's been 13 years, it ought to be rebid, but I mean, it's no cost.
There is no bid.
Well, that's my question. Does he realize there's no cost to us in this process?
I don't know what he realized, but I'll
That's why I asked my question. Because if they're, he's asking that question as if we're spending money.
Yeah.
And we're not.
and we're not.
So that changes the dynamics of the scenario.
Yeah, even in what Chad Jordan does, all the work that Chad does is typically paid by the people who come to the auctions, the tax sales, and it's the buyers they're paying all the taxes, all the fees, all the fines, all the penalties, and all of the fees that Jordan winds up assessing to sell the property. So it's all that cost is borne by a taxpayer or soon-to-be taxpayer, if you will.
By a homeowner in some form or fashion.
Someone that either owned the current property or somebody that's buying the property on the courthouse steps. Yeah.
I want to point out, April 1st, BPP and mobile home attorney fees go.
Okay.
They begin that 20% budget. I don't know.
That's true.
What we're talking about June and stuff. We're going to have certain. I mean, BPP, I'm not that concerned about anymore, but we have lots of money.
Yeah, and what Susan's bringing up is true and correct. So I mean, that just might affect if the board's desire is to do an RFQ, we might have to do it in January, February, because come April,
What's BPP?
business personal property.
Okay.
But as she says, that's not going to be a big issue anymore.
Let's
Because
just change the numbers.
the legislature just exempted $125,000 amounts off that, and so we're going to wind up with
Minimal.
300 or 400 BPP accounts, and those are going to be the ones that are really big. And generally speaking,
they're paying their
they pay
taxes.
their taxes.
Because they've got a lot of money tied up.
Exactly.
But we do have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
What are your thoughts, Mr.
I
Richard?
hand it back over to you guys.
Right.
We've looked at it. I don't see a compelling reason to do an RFQ.
Neither.
So at this point, I have no interest in making a motion.
Okay.
Now,
And
if
that's
someone
perfectly
else
fine.
wants to make a motion, but
Then we shall let this die with lack of movement.
It don't want to be a cost to the organization. I don't see any benefit.
yeah.
It would be
It would be a time.
challenging
the
to
time
write an
cost,
RFQ for it.
It'd be time consuming. We haven't done it in, I believe you said 13 years. So, I mean, we'd have to go ahead and rewrite up the entire process and recreate it. So there's no point in doing it if we're pleased with our services.
So
Okay.
we'll pass on this item.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll let it die for the lack of
I got the motion.
lack of emotion. All right. So then our last item on the agenda for the moment is to look at and discuss the district's Texas County District Retirement System Retirement Plan for 2027. Retirement eligibility, COLA, required weight, elected rate, too many rates here real fast. Additional contributions, unfunded liability funded ratio. We tabled this at the last meeting because we wanted some more information. Ms. Meg got that for us. So if you'll look on the next page, it is what we do compared to what the county does, because the county is the only other group that's using TDH. I won't say TDHCA, but that's not it.
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
In my world, TDHCA means a lot because
Yeah.
I deal with them a lot. but
TCDRS.
There we go. So I'll hand that over to you, Jeff.
Thank you. And yes, we did bring this to the board, and Mr. Highsmith had asked a question, and we went out like the next day and was able to get this information. So to rehash maybe just a tiny bit, I brought this to the board from a standpoint of saying, look, we have about a $300,000 unfunded liability issue. It's a little bit over 300, but I'll just, for sake of conversation, 300,000. And we're about 92% funded. So I asked the board, what's your pleasure with regards to how active should we try to get to 100% funded? And Mr. Hafes expressed an issue that he would like to see us do more better. He would like for us to do more.
Correct.
And be better there.
There we go.
Mr. Nan. And Mr. Wall also kind of said, he was interested in trying to see if we couldn't get that and so we talked about the idea how we get there. And there's several ways. One is we can send them $300,000. I don't have that in the budget. Another way we could do is we could wait till the end of the year, see how much money we have left over from a unspent revenue side, and the board could take action to send all or part of that money down to them. Another way we could do it is in the 27 budget. The 26 budget's already set, but the 27 budget, we could, instead of putting in a 10.83% amount for TCDRS, we could elect a 12%, 13%, 14%. It's almost like putting extra money down on the principal of your loan, so to speak. But another very easy way that we can do this, it won't affect it a lot right now, but it could affect it better as we go forward, is changing our elections on our eligibility of retirement. And right now we have a rule of 80 and we have the rule of 80 and we have the 30 years of service at any age to retire. And so that was the issue that Mr. Highsmith brought up and said, well, what does the county do? So we brought that up. We in the county both have a 7% deposit rate or an employee contribution rate that we do. The employee match, the appraisal district's employee match is 200%. The county has elected 250%. 250% is the highest that TCDRS will allow any district to match. So the county has a 200, that is a better deal. Basically what that means is that the county employees will have a richer retirement benefit when they retire. Interest rate, both of us, the state mandated that the funds will grow at a rate of 7%. Now you should ask, well, how in the world can they guarantee 7%? Well, sometimes when the stock market's doing what it's doing right now, it's easy to get the 7%. But in the years that the stock market doesn't do 7%, then generally TCDRS will send notification to all the districts to say, hey, you have to pay a little bit more than your required rate. So it's kind of like we make up for those years that we don't make the 7%, but then the years that we do really well, our required rate can come down. So there's a couple of things in that kind of ebb and flow. The vesting period for the county is only 5 years. That means once you've worked with the county for 5 years, you're 100% vested. Here, you've got to work 10 years. Then the retirement eligibility, age 60 with 5 years of service, or ours is age 60 with 10 years of service. We're not really asking that be changed. But there's any age with 20 years of service and any age with 30 years of service. We're asking that 30 be changed to the 20. And we're also saying the age plus years of service equals 75 as opposed to the age plus years equals 80. And we're asking that to be changed to the same thing that county has. So the only two changes that we're asking at this time in the plan is to change it from 30 to 20 and then change the rule of 80 from 80 to 75.
Okay.
And that, it won't match the county. If you were to decide that, hey, let's go from a 200% match to a 250% match, your unfunded liability is going to change big time.
Yeah, it's going to jump dramatically.
And yeah, that's kind of going to, 200% match is not a bad match, but we're going to be defeating the purpose of getting our unfunded liability down by making that change.
So changing the age 60 and 10?
No, leaving the age 60 and 10 alone, but changing the 20 years, the 30 years to 20 years, and changing the 80 years to 75 years. Those are the two changes that we're asking.
Why wouldn't we want to look at the 60 plus 5 versus the 60 plus 5?
We could. We didn't ask when we were doing our research how that would affect the unfunded liability. What really happens here, and by the way, I want to go on the record as saying too, by making these changes is not going to put any more money into the retirees' pockets.
Right.
Actually, the longer a person stays on as employed, they will make more retirement benefits as we go. What this does is it allows someone that's maybe at that age of really between age 60 and 65, that if they wanted to retire, maybe at 62, maybe at 60, and if they have enough funds or whatever, that they could take that opportunity and retire. Which, what it does kind of a lot of times, and those people that are at that age, they tend to be our higher paid employees.
Right.
And it allows us to they could move on. We could maybe reset some salaries, and have a benefit there. They will take it'll actually it helps our unfunded liability, because now if someone leaves at 60 versus leaving at 60, 65 or 67, there's less money that possibly has to come out of the district's trust account to pay them for the rest of their life. So I know Parker County is trying to do this exact same thing, but most of the other districts that I know of have this rule of this any age of 20 years of service and a rule of 75.
Yeah, that makes sense. The other thing you had talked about last time was doing a COLA.
Yeah. Now, COLA is something that I think needs to be brought to the board a little bit later in the year, because
Okay.
one, I'm a big proponent of not giving a COLA without paying for the COLA. Because if we go out and we give a COLA, here we are trying to reduce our unfunded liability, all it's going to do is just add money to the end of the note. So what I would think we would do is come closer to October, November timeframe, try to get an estimate. Meg and I would work up an estimate to think, okay, we think we might have, let's just use $250,000 left over at the end of the year. The auditor hadn't looked at it yet.
Right.
It's going to be a good guess. The board could come back and say, you know what? I think the COLA would be about $40,000 if we did a 2% COLA. So we could come back with that and say, you know what? Let's take $40,000 and send it to TCDRS, and then give a 2% COLA. And then you could either refund all the rest of it, or you could come back maybe and say, let's take $160,000, send it to TCDRS to reduce our unfunded liability.
Okay.
But all of those options are available to the board. But I would want to do a budget amendment. Like I've kind of promised the mayor that I don't think it has to be a budget amendment, but the mayor and I have a difference of opinion there, which is okay.
Yeah.
And I don't mind making it in the form of a budget amendment. But I kind of need to do it
in December.
probably because with a budget amendment, I need to do it early enough so the board, the entities have 30 days in which to reject that budget amendment. And then we need to have some time after that to take the action. So I probably need to do it in October.
Yeah.
So are you also proposing we change the vesting from 10 years to 5?
I mean, you could, but all that does is it people who are here, I would not. I mean, I would leave it at 10, or at most maybe reduce it to 8. What it does is it kind of the other side of that coin is if you get an employee that works here 5 years, 6 years, and they quit, they get ownership of all the money that they put into the system. But they don't have any ownership of the money that the districts put into the system on their behalf. That money goes into the trust account, and really it helps the unfunded liability a little bit. So I'm kind of the opinion, if you want to retire from here, you need to have some investment in here. So the 10 years is not bad, and 8 years is not. A lot of counties change from 10 to 8 because county commissioners serve 4-year terms. Mm-hmm. So it's like if you can get elected and you can get reelected, you can be vested in the system. So a lot of them will do 8 years instead of 10 years, but it's generally 10 or 5. But I think 5, it's like, come on, work here a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And then you can retire and you can get access to the district's money. But
for that, if you were to change the age 60 plus 5 years of service, that would be a skirt around the 10-year.
Could be, yeah. But then you would also have to be talking about hiring someone that's older, which I'm not objectionable to doing. I mean, I'm not going to discriminate against anyone because of their age. But yeah, if you were to hire someone that was 50 years old, they work here 5 years, at 55, they could, but they better have a retirement from somewhere else. Yeah. Because you can't just work here 5 years and be 50 years old and retire from here and make, you won't have enough money to live on.
Yeah.
I mean, you really got to be in the system 20, 30 years to really have a fairly good nest egg to walk away from.
Well, how does it work if someone comes in that has been in TCDRS somewhere else?
It adds to their vesting. Like if I were to hire a county employee to be the deputy chief, let's say, they came in and they've been at Hood County for 10 years, they walk into our system automatically vested.
That's what.
They get credit for, and I've seen it to where if you're part of like the teacher retirement system, you can be given credit for your time while working in the school districts because they kind of share
Yeah.
those things. Do you remember what else? There's teachers, military, other counties that does TMR, who do the cities do? Is it TML? No, it's not TML.
It's something very similar.
The
to
cities,
your-
the cities have a pension-based system too, but I don't
think
know.
that transfers.
I'm not sure they transfer. But I know the schools and the military, that if you come in with years of service, it can be added to your vesting to where you can work here maybe 2 or 3 years and be vested and fully vested.
I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. You say retirement eligibility, any age with 20 years of service. So you hire in at 18,
Yep.
you leave when you're 38,
You
but
would
you don't start drawing at 38.
You could,
It's a very small
but
amount.
yeah, you
because
might get $1,000 a
discount
month.
rate.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
But
Sure.
that you become like, I'll give you my example. When I turned 56, I met the eligibility requirements, but I couldn't retire on what my monthly benefits were going to be.
Okay.
But I became eligible at age 56.
On the unfunded liability, the only time that really affects us is if everybody retired at the same time.
Yeah.
In theory.
But the other way it can affect us too is this, and this is the one that kind of causes me a little concern. If 4 or 5 people retired and we replaced them, it wouldn't be an issue because we'd continue paying into the TCDRS system, which would keep bolstering the trust fund and so on and so forth. But if the state legislature came along and said, we're going to do away with property taxes and appraisal districts, and all appraisal districts went away, and there was no more money being funded into the system, and we're sitting here at a 92% funded ratio, it's possible they could come back and say, well, you're not going to get the benefit that we told you we're going to get because we presumed that you would last into perpetuity.
Right.
So you only have 92% of the funds that we thought you needed. So it's possible that everybody's pension benefits could be reduced down to 8% or so. So it's basically a way to say, hey, we need to have the trust fund account in good shape in the event that something were to happen, appraisal districts go away, and those people that have retired or are close or near to retirement, planning for retirement, won't be left in the dark, so to speak.
Couple of questions for you then. With the 2 changes that you were proposing, any age of 20 years of service and going down from 80 to 75, what would that do to our funding? Do you know?
It will raise it.
It will
Because
raise it, how much?
Not a lot, but a few thousand, right now, a few $1,000s, something like that.
Does it make an impact in percentage?
1%.
No, it's
Actually,
at the bottom of the.
Looking at the next page,
Okay.
it's at the bottom, and actually it takes our funding, it makes us better
Yeah.
by about $9,000. No, 11.
But the percentage that you were talking about
Goes up
take
almost
us,
the percentage.
yeah, almost a percentage.
I guess the one thing that I think is convenient is that at the end of the year, if we haven't spent our budget, you have to write a check to the various entities, or you can turn around and say, we're going to stick with our budget. We'll apply this toward the fund, raise the funding, and not have to adjust your contribution going forward.
Yeah, it would help because if you could get to 100% funded, this rate right here in the bottom portion of the thing where it says the total, it's actually right in the middle where it says required rate. It's 10.83, 11.13, or 10.83. Idea is that the employee contributes 7% and the district will contribute 7%. But because we have an unfunded liability, they're saying our required rate's going to be 10.83. If we could get closer to 100%, that required rate will go down.
Right.
Because because the way this thing works is it says, yeah, you're sitting out there. I said 300,000. It's actually almost five. It's not right. There it is. 378,000 is the current amount. It'll go to 367 if we make these changes. But basically what they're saying is that you put in 7, Floyd puts in 7, but we need an extra 3% to get rid of that $300,000 that you have a shortfall on. And it's amortized over like a 20-year period.
So if we had a $200,000 underage in our budget, it takes a significant chunk out of this.
And that required rate will go down. If we did it at the end of 2026, would it be reflected in 2027 or will we have to wait?
We submit the changes by December 15th of 2026, and the changes go into effect.
Okay, so we
Okay.
can see an immediate effect on
On our budget.
That would
what
save
the
us.
required rate would be. And what we would do officially is what you're saying is what we would do is if we had any money left over at the end of the year that we would want to do this with, we would commit those funds for the TCDRS purpose.
Right.
That's what the law says, that those funds would need to be committed.
Yeah.
And then
do
we
the,
would,
do the
I would-
budget amendment.
yeah, I would go through the budget amendment, and really the budget amendment would look like a line item transfer.
Yeah.
Because we would take monies from salaries. I mean, I've gone now several, not $200,000 worth, but I've gone through several months now with not having a deputy, not paying any insurance on that person,
Mhm.
not paying any retirement on that person, not paying any taxes on that person. So there's money that's going to be left over just from that part of it. And then, and I'm working also on the 2027 budget, trying to see areas that we've kind of been a little high on, trying to pull those back down into alignment too. So, but historically, I'm using the $200,000 number because historically that seems like what we kind of have been. And a lot of it really comes from litigation that we haven't spent. We put money towards having litigation, but we've been able to reach settlements and not really have to go to court. That's where we wind up with a lot of our savings as well. But I would be hesitant to
Yeah, I would
think
want to
that we're
change
never
that
going to
number
get
on
sued
the,
again.
yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. All right. What is the preference of the board?
Make a stab at it.
All right.
See what the reaction is. Suppose that we reduce the required age of service from 30 years, or restart. I propose that we change the age in year, or the years of service from 30 to 20.
Mhm.
And the requirement for age and years of service from 80 to 75. And here,
That's all right there. Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second that we change the age with any age with years of service to I'm going to mess it up now. Any age with years of service from 30 to 20 and age plus years of service from 80 to 75. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Vote is unanimous again. Excellent. And then that, I believe, well, takes us to our next discussion item, which is you, Jeff.
Yeah,
Talk about the
I'm
budget.
not going to talk about the budget a lot here tonight. Y'all all got the copy of the PDF that I sent.
Mhm.
This is our proposed 2027 budget. It's not, I would say, in a final stage. What I would like to do is give you guys time to look it over, think about it, and maybe at our July meeting, actually have a budget workshop where we sit down and we go through anything that you guys want to go through. And I've got a couple of estimates and a couple of things in there that we're waiting on some information to still come back, like health insurance quotes and things of that nature. That could possibly change. Right now I've proposed the highest number we have right now, so that could possibly change a little bit. We also want to look, one of the things that we have noticed is that our postage, the amounts that we budgeted in the past for postage seems to be high. And I think there's another area there where we could get some savings. So there's a lot of stuff that's in the budget yet that I'm still working on. It's still massaging, but I think right now we've put out a budget that's just right now 3% higher than last year's budget. But my timeline for this would be, you guys look it over, study it, maybe use it to go to sleep at night. And then July, have a kind of a budget workshop where we will spend as much time as you all want going through every line item that we have, if you want to do that. And then at our August meeting, actually have a budget hearing where the public is allowed to come in and address the board, and then potentially make any changes that the board feels are necessary, if the board feels it's necessary, and then adopt the budget at our August meeting. So we got plenty of time. And again, I'm actually waiting on a couple of more better estimates, if you will, on some of the services that we contract with. So it's kind of still in a little bit of state of flux. And so why would it be that way, and why would I send it out? Well, state law requires that I have to send a proposed budget to the taxing entities by June 15th. So I have to send it out.
You have to send them rough numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of our entities were all already saying, well, can we get the allocation of how much our port's going to be? And I'm like, no, this is not an adopted budget. This is just a preliminary proposed budget that,
But they're looking to try to put their budget together.
yeah, but you can take the budget we did sent last year and figure out approximately what the percentage was you paid there, and maybe apply to this same budget, and you get close.
Yeah.
Because I don't think much is changing in the way of the taxing unit allocations. Granbury ISD will still pay 67% of the budget.
Right.
Hood County will pay approximately 25%. Granbury ISD will pay, or I'm sorry, Granbury City will approximately pay about 7%, and then the numbers just go down from there. So those are the three largest contributors. So,
okay.
Do you guys have any questions about it, or from what you've seen? Is there any major concerns, heartburn you have right now at this point?
Okay. Yeah.
You can look at the health insurance.
I am. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, we actually had our first proposal on health insurance was a 26% increase.
Oof.
We've had a lot of really high claims. As what insurance companies do, we're a small group, number one, and they look at what are our claims to
Premium.
Thank you. Our claims to premium ratio. And they didn't make any money off us, basically.
And I learned this years ago about the school system. I would have thought that the appraisal districts would have a group, consortium of something, so they get, a bigger group gets better deals. Each school district has to do their own. I'm like, why don't all these school districts get together and get a better deal?
Yeah, we've talked about that same thing, but getting that off the ground has been next to impossible.
Well, because everybody wants to be their own independent body. And
when I was at TAD, we wound up switching from like United to the Texas. It was like the entity that insures a lot of the counties.
yeah,
Can't think of the name off the top of my head right now. Yeah, Texas Association of Counties. Thank you. Texas Association of Counties. Well, I come down here, and the first thing I want to do is I want to get a bid from them, because they had a really nice bid. And the thing that I liked so much about them was that their average increase per year was 5 to 6%, not 26%.
right.
Well, I go down to a conference and I run over to their booth and talk to them and like, hey, I want a bid from you. Oh yeah. Well, kind of salesman like. Well, then they come up and start talking to me and they're like, oh, you only have 20 employees.
Mhm.
Right.
And we don't do anybody under 50 employees.
Ah.
So then me and a bunch of other chief appraisers that were from smaller districts were like, why can't we create a group?
Yeah.
And we tried to make an attempt to create a pool. And it just, I don't know whether Texas Association of Counties just said, no, we're not interested in a pool. And then you run into, I remember at one time, Tarrant in Dallas was wanting to create a pool.
Yeah.
But then it was a problem that there was a family at, I'll say at one of those appraisal districts that had a really bad, had a hemophiliac.
Those are extremely
And
expensive.
they were like, the other appraisal districts were like, we don't think we want to be, we don't want to be part of our group.
Yeah.
You're going to mess up our numbers.
Yeah, and then there was another appraisal district that came down with a person that had brain tumors, and they were like, "Well, yeah, we don't want you as part of
We
our
don't
group."
want healthy people.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
so I think that's probably part
Yeah.
of the reason why you can't get any of these people to be able to legally form a group or something. But it does seem like it would be share the risk
Yeah.
a little bit better. In fact, we found that of half of the insurance companies that we tried to get bids from, half of them declined to even quote us because of either
small.
our high claims or we had less than 25 employees.
Yeah.
So that's challenging. It's challenging.
That's going to hurt. Yeah.
I mean, the only maybe good side of it is that our total premiums would be in the $300,000 range versus if we did have 200 employees, our premiums would be in the $2.5 million
Yeah.
range, so it's relative, but insurance has just gotten high. And then the benefits have kind of fallen off. The deductibles are going up, premiums going up, the amount of copays are going up. And so we're trying to look at a couple of other alternatives before I present a final option to you guys. And but I'll have to bring that back probably in July because we were on the phone with them today in a Teams call, and we asked them, we look into this and look into this. So we'll get back with you. So
Okay,
hopefully
good.
we'll know something here. We'll probably know something here pretty soon, and I'll bring it back in July, and we'll go from there. And then we can hammer some of the other line items. And,
Yeah.
like I said, there's already a couple that we know that we can make some adjustments on. So, but if you have any questions while you're reading this thing,
While we're perusing.
give me a call if there's something that comes up. You're like, hey, what about this? I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it before our July meeting. I just can't talk to more than three of you about it at the same time.
Well, and
You've gone on a conference call.
you've gone, and these two guys don't know as much, but the amount of detail that is now in our budget compared to what it used to be. It was one page. Very archaic.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was bad. It was, you put $1 million on one piece of paper and there's your budget. That's not the way this ought to work. But
Then
Yeah.
we went to 15 pages.
Well, actually, we went to about 34 pages.
I was gonna say, we
And
went to
this
30
year, I've
pages.
cut it back to. I've taken out all the, and I'll show that to y'all. I'm not
Yeah,
trying
We
to.
don't want to know how many pencils you use.
Last year,
Yeah.
Jeff took we're going to buy 7,000 envelopes to mail
Yeah.
tax
And
statements out.
We got
Each
really
envelope
specific.
costs a penny.
I still have those pages, and I'm still going through those things to try to help me with, how many, we want to buy new laptops, we want to buy new monitors. It gives me a place in a worksheet that I can plug in those things, and then it'll total things up. But I have changed it to where I'm now giving you just the departmental
consolidation.
information rather than
But it's
having
it's
having stamps.
it's better to read because you can actually see where things are going now. It's not just
Yeah.
supplies, $1 million.
office supplies, yeah. Yeah,
It's
we try
paper,
to be much
pens,
more
this
comprehensive.
department, this department. Who's using what? Yeah. So, any questions on that for Jeff?
Call me if something comes up. We can talk privately,
All right.
and then we'll have a public conversation at our July meeting.
We have no reason to go to executive session, so we'll move on to report from Chief Appraiser.
Yep, I'll be real quick on this too, because if I hurry, 5 minutes will be only an hour. The report on the appraisal operations is pretty much the same old story. We're still going through the ARB process. We've had a lot of ARB hearings, not as many as you would think we were, because the staff's been really settling a lot of values just over
Which
the
is good.
telephone. Yeah,
Preferred.
which is always better than them having to come into. When a property owner has to come into an ARB hearing, it's a nerve-wracking event for them. It's, sometimes they've never done it before. They don't know how to do it. It's kind of intimidating. So-
that's what I was gonna say. It's set up like a battle, and it
Yeah.
shouldn't be a battle. But
Yeah. So we're working real hard to come to common ground where we both can agree on something. We are now having a lot of agent protests. So far, most of the agents have chosen to do it over the telephone rather than actually coming in person.
Okay.
We're working real hard with a couple of our Hood County local agents. They've kind of been playing nice.
That's good.
With regards to collections, I kind of already told you, we're almost at 98% here in June, which is about normal for us. We kind of expect that we'll be at that 98% by the end of June. And then we'll turn over the real property records to the attorneys on July 1st, and then they'll go to work trying to collect that final 2%. But collections is kind of slow right now because 97%, almost 98% of everybody's paid. So we're just kind of the collections folks out there kind of serve as the duty of the clerical staff or the people now coming in from the ARB. They get all that stuff taken care of, and then they come in here and have an ARB hearing. The district operations, that really right now we're working on budget. She and I we're talking to different vendors and trying to get bids. But we are in full-blown appraisal mode right now, ARB mode, appraisal review board mode. I will be sending out a June estimate of values to the taxing entities at the end of June. I think Jody's going to run them on the 22nd of June, which is Monday. And then I'll be putting together the reports that I'll send out to all the taxing entities. We're required by law to do an April notice, but I am going to do a June notice to kind of give them one more kind of glimpse. Problem with the April notice is that when I do that, we don't have any protest filed.
Yeah, that's what.
So there's no accounts under protest, which I know we're going to lose some value. And I don't tend to be the type of person that says, oh, I'm going to guesstimate at what your value might be. I give them what's on the report.
Yeah.
But so the June estimate will be much more accurate because we will have gone through and had a lot of protests taken, filed, heard, and settled. And so it will be reflected on the June report. And then I will certify the roll. I think the 25th actually is a Saturday. So we're going to be looking to certify the roll on the 23rd or 24th of this year. And we'll give them a certified roll. And again, my ultimate
So
goal.
that's in July.
July.
Okay.
Yeah, I may have said that wrong. June estimate, a July certification. Right. And our ultimate goal is to have all of the protests heard and done and finished by that certification date. Now, does that mean that someone can still file a late protest? Yeah, they can. So we'll still have protests that happen, but it'll be on so many fewer accounts than what we have right now. We had last check, we had about 4,500 protests filed. So that's not really all that bad.
Yeah.
One of the 2023, I think the year I came, I think there was close to 7,500 protests filed. But that's because we had a property value study in 2022 that didn't go as well as we wanted it to. And so we had to come back in 2023 and have another one. And so they were pretty aggressive in getting the values up because the state comptroller was telling us that essentially our values were too low.
Yeah.
But 26 is a property value study year for us. I have met with the lady who'll do the commercial work on the property value study. Never met her before, but she seems to be real nice. And, she's doing that work. So it's just really talking to taxpayers over the telephone, working out values when we possibly can, coming in and having ARB hearings. And, that's what we've been doing.
Okay.
We're getting close to wrap that up. So I made my 6 o'clock done.
Any other questions for Jeff?
Maybe a comment. At the end of the meeting, I'm going to be submitting my resignation. Paula and I are moving to the Galveston, and we have a son that's 14. We adopted him, and he's going to be going into high school. So we decided we're going to do it now. We're going to do it for 4 years, and those needs a decision. So with that, I'm going to end up submitting my resignation. But before that, I want to commend you, Jeff, for all that you've done.
Well, thank you.
I've been here about 3 of the years that you've been here, and the level of professionalism that you brought to the organization, the efficiency of the organization, my understanding is the employee morale and the workplace environment has improved tremendously. And, on top of it all, I think it seems like a much more user-friendly organization. You know, you're treated professionally, and the tone toward the homeowners and property owners is much improved. So you guys have done a great job, you and your entire staff. So with that,
Thank you so much, and I just want to say I appreciate your tenure on this board. I'll miss you. But yeah, when I came on the board, I kind of made the board a promise that I would try to bring more information to them, try to provide more transparency to the public, and we've done a lot of that. If the public will go to our website, which a lot of them have, there's a ton of information that's out there that I'm not going to say it wasn't there before, but in the old website environment, it was really hard to find. Chat GPT, if we'd have had it back in those days, would have found the information really fast.
Right.
In fact, we use Chat GPT all the time. She and I used it the other day saying, you know what, we have to get an investment policy approved. And we were looking for where we had it, and we just asked ChatGPT, can you look at our website and tell us when we did it? And bam, it just
There it was.
yep, you did it on this date. We're like, yeah, we did. We
Okay,
checked the minutes. We're like,
excellent.
you're right. So, but yeah, I've tried my best to make it to where your jobs are as easy as I possibly can make it, to where, I get you the information. I try to not bring problems, and to make your lives a lot easier, to where you just got to make simple motions in simple seconds and take simple votes. So I do appreciate your comments. Thank you.
And your HR expertise will be missed. So it's good to have that on the board. So
good luck.
thank you. Any other comments or requests? All right, then I will say at 6:02 we are. Oh, we got to set our next meeting.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Meg.
And
Somebody's going to keep all of us in line.
yeah.
So we're looking at our next meeting date of July 16.
Yeah. Can I ask that we look at the Thursday after that?
Uh-huh.
Because I'm sending Meg off to a conference, and she's going to be gone on the 16th.
Well,
Now, if we need to have the meeting on the 16th, we can manage to do it without Meg.
not
But I
ideal
prefer
though.
not
So
to. Not ideal.
then we're looking at July 23rd.
I'm good with that date.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
Well,
Awesome.
James.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thought he nodded, but he may not have.
Yeah, I can make it work.
Thank
All right, perfect. So then we will amend what was printed, and we'll change our date to the 23rd, so you can attend our lovely meetings.
Keep the minutes. Yeah.
Yes.
Keep
It's in order.
your month, right?
Right.
Don't lie very well.
No, I don't.
All right. Did I miss anything else?
Any other proposed agenda items for our next meeting?
No. Budgetary conversations. So
We'll have quite a few. She and I have already come up with quite a few items on the agenda for July, and the budget workshop can be as long as y'all want it to be. So you might prepare for more than an hour meeting on that day, just because we could get into some weeds and details. But we'll try to
prep for two
We
that
got-
day just to be safe.
We got quite a few things that we need to bring in July,
So
but they don't have to be long.
and actually let me follow up. So with Mark leaving,
Mhm.
because we did this when Richard joined, and just want to repeat it so I have it right in my brain. Essentially, we'll send something to the entities.
Mhm.
They will not really appoint, but they will. What's the word I'm looking for? Nominate. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then we choose as a board from the nominations this time. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I'll because this doesn't happen very often, I'll have to go back to the law to find out what the time frames are.
Yeah, that's the other
There's
question.
I think there's a time frame from the time he resigns and about it, then we got to get that information to the entities. And since we've done it before, it's not going to be difficult to recreate documents
Right.
and send them out. But you're right. Then they'll have about 30 days in which to nominate a replacement.
Okay.
And you're right. It'll come to this board to choose his replacement.
So us extending that meeting may help that situation a little bit as well.
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know if they
I
have
don't know if
30
they'll have
days
the back
nominated.
back.
I'm
Well,
not sure.
it'll be you won't pick at the July meeting.
Yeah.
It'll most likely be the August meeting or
Yeah.
September meeting that you would name a replacement. But as soon as I find out what that time frame is that I have as of today to get the letters and everything out, then they will have 30 days in which to nominate.
that.
And then you'll have to say, when would our next meeting be after that 30-day? Because somebody could, and then it probably won't bump up against the July 23rd meeting,
Yeah.
but you would also maybe have to consider information coming in the mail. So if they sent it by mail on that day, it may be 2 or 3 days later before we don't want to do that,
Right.
but we will follow the law.
Yes. Okay. All right. Then I will say that this meeting is adjourned at 6:06 p.m. Thank you, everybody.